That morning, he'd managed to win the commuter lottery and snag a seat until the chaos began. In the crowd, he spotted a man harassing a girl and watched in disgust, but as fate would have it, the universe did what it always did to him, dragged him into trouble. Moments later, MC found himself on the ground at school, being berated by a furious short-haired girl who pinned him down and demanded to know how he had the nerve to show his face after being accused of molesting someone. MC tried to explain, but she wouldn't hear it. She was convinced he'd assaulted her friend Yumi and insisted she saw it with her own eyes. When he sarcastically suggested she get her vision checked, it only made things worse. She scolded him for denying responsibility and accused him of thinking being a student made him untouchable. Just as things reached a boiling point, a police officer appeared, but before it could escalate, a calm voice cut through. A woman stepped forward to defend MC. She was the one he'd given his seat to on the train, and she confirmed he wasn't the culprit. Gently, she urged Yumi to rethink what had happened, helping her recall that MC had only approached after the train stopped. Realizing her mistake, Yumi bowed in apology. MC accepted it quietly, saying they both shared blame, but his face turned cold as he muttered that helping people might have been a mistake. The short-haired girl was stunned by his words and quickly apologized, saying she wouldn't make the same mistake again. But MC didn't even glance back. "I'm never helping you again," he said, brushing off her hand and walking away, leaving the girls speechless and shaken as his figure disappeared into the crowd. Back at school, MC had completely vanished. No one had seen him in any class, and his absence quickly sparked concern. Mo kept trying to contact him but got no replies, left wondering what had happened. Then, without warning, the short-haired girl stormed into the classroom, cutting through the tension like a knife. She wasn't just any girl, she was Mitsuki Kado, the student council president, and to everyone's surprise, Yumi, the girl from the train incident, was the vice president. Whispers flew around the room. Clearly, the situation ran deeper than anyone had thought. Meanwhile, in the teacher's lounge, their homeroom teacher Fujiro was peacefully eating lunch when Mitsuki burst in, demanding answers about MC's whereabouts. Caught completely off guard, Fujiro tried to respond, but Mitsuki, clearly at her limit, grabbed her by the collar, eyes blazing with desperation. After calming her down, Fujiro listened to the whole messy story about the misunderstanding, and suddenly, everything made sense. MC hadn't come to school because of it. Shockingly, Mitsuki admitted it was all her fault, guilt heavy in her voice. Fujiro sighed with relief that things hadn't escalated further, because if they had, this could have easily ruined someone's life. When Mitsuki asked again if she knew where MC had gone, Fujiro said no, but suggested they contact his older sister, Yuri. The moment Mitsuki heard the name, it clicked that MC was Yuri's younger brother. Yumi, also shaken, urged Mitsuki to track her down immediately, and Fujiro agreed to call Yuri through the school broadcast. As the announcement echoed down the halls, Mitsuki's nerves tensed. She couldn't stop replaying the moment MC had told her he regretted ever helping her. That one line echoed like punishment, because deep down, she knew he was right. She hadn't just hurt him, she'd twisted his kindness into cruelty and broken something pure in the process. If she didn't fix this now, she'd lose not just his trust, but her own sense of what was right. When Yuri finally showed up and heard what happened, her rage exploded. She nearly punched Mitsuki on the spot, barely held back by Fujiro, who urged her to try calling her brother. But of course, on the one day she needed him close, they hadn't commuted together, and now he was nowhere to be found. Frustrated and scared, Yuri finally dialed MC's number, and to her relief, he picked up. But his casual tone didn't ease her worries. When he mentioned he was by the sea, something in her heart sank. Alarm bells blared in her head, and she asked if he was planning to do something reckless. He brushed it off, saying he was just searching for something he'd lost and would head home soon. Still, his words carried a weight that unsettled her. When she asked if he was okay, he replied cryptically, telling her to just wait until she entered high school, because after that, she wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. That line shattered her composure. The pieces clicked into place, and a sickening fear crept over her. It felt like a goodbye. Desperate, she screamed into the phone, pleading for him to stop, trying to tell him this wasn't what she meant, but before she could say more, he ended the call with a calm promise to come home. Holding back her emotions, Yuri simply told Fujiro that MC would return, and they'd handle it tomorrow, then turned and walked out with a cold, final declaration. She would never forgive Mitsuki. Meanwhile, as guilt and panic filled the school halls, MC sat calmly by the sea, popping sweet tarts into his mouth and enjoying the breeze. It had taken him 30 minutes to get there, but the peace was worth it. He even picked up a little souvenir, maybe for himself, maybe for someone else. Skipping school made him feel like a proper delinquent, a version of himself that felt oddly freeing. Before heading back, he decided to return a lost item he'd found nearby, musing over Japan's 60% lost and found return rate. The thought stirred something deeper. He wondered if there'd ever be a day when he could reclaim what he had lost. Somewhere along the way, his sense of goodwill had vanished. No matter how much kindness people gave him, he couldn't seem to return it. Love, warmth, human connection, it all felt distant now. He figured staying detached was safer, for everyone. At least, that's the lie he kept feeding himself. Then, his phone lit up. Notifications. People were looking for him. A lot of people. And for the life of him, he couldn't understand why. Someone like him, who faded into the background, who barely existed, still managed to hurt others. Eyes on the sky, he tilted his head back, letting the weight of that truth sink in. Back at school, Yuri wandered the halls, haunted by his words, knowing he'd heard the things she said, and fearing what they might have done to him. So now, it's time for flashback. When they were children, MC and his older sister Yuri had been inseparable. With their mother always working, Yuri often took care of him, not out of duty, but out of love. It felt natural. He was her baby brother, and she adored him. But she was just a child herself, trying to balance affection and identity. Her best friend Maki, an only child, often joined their games, and MC was always included. Then one day, Maki offhandedly said MC was so cute she wished he were her little brother. That single comment twisted something in Yuri, jealousy, fear, and possessiveness all tangled into a storm she didn't understand. Suddenly, it felt like Maki was taking MC away, and MC was taking Maki. Her anger, irrational and overwhelming, turned against the one person she loved most. So on a seemingly ordinary day, when MC asked to play, Yuri snapped. She screamed at him to disappear and shoved him from the monkey bars. His small body hit the ground, bloodied and unconscious. The moment shattered her, but it was too late. She ran home in a panic, confessed everything to their mother, and they rushed back, only to find him gone. 6 days later, the police found MC in a hospital. No one could explain the gap in time. When he woke, pale and bruised, their mother wept, clinging to him, while Yuri could only stare in stunned silence. And then he whispered something that broke her completely. "Sorry, I couldn't disappear, well. The only thing that comes to my mind is one question: that who let Spider-Man writers free? Like, seriously." He was literally apologizing to her for surviving. Years later, Yuri would finally understand what he meant. He hadn't just left the playground, he had nearly left the world. Her words had pushed him so close to the edge, and the version of him that came back was different. Emotionally distant. Hollow. Her once vibrant little brother had faded into a ghost of himself. And the worst part? He never once showed anger. As if that part of him had been taken, too. Guilt haunted Yuri. Every time she saw him, the quiet, broken shell he'd become, it returned. She wanted to be punished. She wanted to scream, cry, fix everything. She longed to hear him call her sister the way he used to. But by the time they reached high school, she realized something devastating. MC had already disappeared. Not physically, but emotionally, cut off from a part of himself she could never reach again. And yet, despite the guilt and the years lost, Yuri made herself a promise. No matter how far gone he seemed, no matter how unreachable, she would save him with her own hands. She would bring her brother back. Meanwhile, at school, a furious girl came looking for MC. Myo called MC over, who was unaware of the chaos that was about to unfold. The next day at school, rumors spread like wildfire. Everyone was talking about how the student council president was confronting MC in Class B. Naturally, students swarmed to witness the drama. Standing before him were none other than Mitsuki and Yumi, the same girls who had accused him just a day earlier of preying on an innocent woman. As the class fell silent, Yumi nervously asked Mitsuki if she was really going through with her plan. MC, fully alert, prepared himself for the worst, only for both girls to suddenly drop to their knees and bow deeply, offering a public apology. Phones came out instantly, the crowd stunned. MC, feeling like some kind of feudal lord, awkwardly told them to get up and tone down the theatrics. Mitsuki explained that she genuinely felt remorseful, while Yumi thanked him for helping her, but MC wasn't interested, brushing them off and turning to leave. Not wanting to end things like that, Mitsuki blurted out a bizarre idea. She offered to let MC hug her, yes, a full-on hug, with a very inappropriate bonus if the goods lived up to the hype. Yumi, mortified, quickly tried to redirect the apology into offering him a meal instead, but MC had clearly heard Mitsuki's bold offer and coyly asked her to repeat it. Blushing furiously, Mitsuki doubled down, saying it was her first time and that she'd even accept him without protection, leaving Yumi utterly horrified. Mitsuki claimed she'd done her research and was confident this kind of thing would make any high school boy happy. Cringing, MC slapped a hand over her mouth to shut her up, but she pushed on, saying she'd nearly ruined his life and felt it was only fair to put herself on the line in return. Then, in a move no one expected, she revealed a ridiculous amount of cleavage and begged him to accept her offer. MC, overwhelmed, told her that most people wouldn't appreciate being cornered like this, and though Mitsuki was surprised, she admitted he had a point. Yumi quickly pulled her vest up, scolding her for completely losing control. Despite it all, Mitsuki clung to MC, saying she still wanted to properly apologize. Watching her, MC recalled the old saying about how it's shameful for a man not to eat well, but honestly, he wasn't hungry, and no normal meal could satisfy the mess in front of him. Wanting nothing more than to escape the chaos, MC made a break for the door, claiming he had to go shopping. Mitsuki tried to chase after him, but he was already gone. The next day at school, all eyes were on MC as he walked through the hallways, whispers echoing in every corner about what happened with Mitsuki and her sudden, scandalous offer to be friends with benefits. Some students wondered if the two had already done something, while others admired MC's supposed charm, dubbing him the third-year Casanova. Though he secretly enjoyed the attention, he couldn't help but cringe whenever he heard the nickname out loud. Deep down, he knew if his mental fortitude wasn't strong, this situation could have gone downhill fast. It stung to realize his dream of living a peaceful, normal student life was slipping further out of reach, and unfortunately, things only spiraled from there. Later in the day, Mio noticed he seemed out of it and asked what was wrong. MC explained he'd found a mysterious letter in his shoe locker and suspected it might be a love letter. Instantly, the class went into a frenzy. People stopped to watch, phones nearly out, all eager for the big reveal. Before even opening the letter, he caught Miho's overly excited expression and immediately felt irritated, especially as Mineta chimed in, asking if it was really a love letter. Trying to ignore her, MC ended up bickering with Mio, who was shamelessly gossiping about him while sitting right beside him. Questions bombarded him from all sides as Kamashiro and Meta poked their heads in, while classmates whispered and even started tweeting about the mystery, which frustrated him most of all. He couldn't understand why his once quiet life had turned into a circus. When Mo finally asked what the letter said, MC raised it and admitted it felt like trouble. It invited him to meet someone in the study room. Later, he went, and there, waiting for him, was Hazamura from Class C, a girl from his old junior high. Though he didn't remember her, she didn't seem to mind. She quickly cut to the chase. She wanted him to stay away from Kamashiro. As Kamashiro's best friend, Hazamura explained how much Kamashiro had changed, becoming distant and depressed ever since MC entered her life. It was painful to watch, and she begged him to back off. But MC, confused, asked what she expected him to do. He had never forced Kamashiro to do anything. In fact, he had already told her to leave him alone multiple times, but she never listened. Now he was the one asking for advice. What else could he possibly do? Hazamura, holding back tears, asked if it was really that easy for him to just walk away. She revealed something surprising. Kamashiro had chosen this school just to be close to MC, all because she genuinely liked him. After everything, couldn't he at least try to understand her feelings? But MC simply shook his head and told Hazamura she was wrong. With a faint smile, MC reassured Hazamura that he would give it one more shot. This time, he'd truly cut ties with Kamashiro for good. he left the room, unaware that Hazamura, left behind, was frantically trying to explain this wasn't what she wanted, things weren't supposed to turn out like this. But MC had made up his mind, he would make Kamoshiro understand that staying apart was the best choice, and this time, he'd be clear about it. As he walked away, he couldn't help but reflect on the time they'd spent together, moments that, in hindsight, were actually enjoyable. Maybe his earlier rejection had come from feeling overwhelmed, but those days were now behind him, there was no going back. The next day, a third year named Toshiro entered the classroom, introducing himself and asking for MC. The tension was immediate, MC could already sense where this was going. When he reluctantly responded, Toshiro revealed that he was the captain of the basketball team, and MC instantly tried to deflect, joking that the real MC was probably in the cafeteria. But Toshiro wasn't playing around. He explained that Hayakuma, a senior who had already graduated, had personally asked him to invite MC to join the team. That caught MC off guard. Why was Hayakuma still getting involved? After a brief moment, MC's light-hearted facade dropped, and he answered with quiet seriousness, if he ever wanted to join, he would have done it from the start. To him, club activities were just a convenient distraction, one more way to ignore the mess of his emotions. But Toshiro didn't back down. Matching MC's seriousness with his own resolve, he admitted that their team wasn't strong and probably wouldn't win anything, but this was their final year, and after putting in 3 years of sweat and effort, he wasn't going to give up. He needed MC, not just as a player, but as someone who could carry their last hopes. The team only had 9 members, so MC could start right away. Yet MC couldn't help but contrast their situation with the glorified sports manga of the Raya era. This wasn't an inspiring tale of underdogs rising to greatness, just a struggling team trying to survive. Then, out of nowhere, Toshiro asked him if there was anyone he wanted to impress by playing in the tournament. Without skipping a beat, MC rejected the idea, he had no one like that in his life. But to his surprise, Toshiro revealed that he did, he had someone he wanted to impress and confess to. Realization hit MC like a punch, so that was Toshiro's real motive. Annoyed, MC told him to do whatever he wanted. But Toshiro wasn't done. With a steady gaze, he pointed at MC and challenged him to settle things on the court. And just like that, the class went dead silent, their eyes locked on the unexpected standoff unfolding in front of them, while MC stood there, internally groaning that this reckless, passionate idiot was dragging him into something completely absurd. The pressure only intensified when Mio chimed in, practically pushing MC to accept the basketball challenge, and Kamoshiro wasn't far behind, her voice adding weight to the already growing crowd of encouragers. As if things weren't chaotic enough, the class even roped in another student, Aceto, cheering him on to join the team too. The classroom buzzed like a stadium before a big game, and in that moment, MC realized something deeply irritating, his own opinion had been completely erased. The crowd had already decided his fate, no input required. The room erupted in excited chatter, students already hyping up a game set for after school, and before MC could even process what was happening, he found himself at the center of it all, again. Frustrated, he firmly announced they could play without him. But that didn't stop the wildfire, rumors of the so-called basketball showdown raced through the school. Soon, even the girls in Yuri's class were gossiping about it, swooning over how MC had made the student council president bow to him and now seemed to be challenging the basketball team captain. Some found it hard to believe, others were still shocked Mitsuki had ever bowed in the first place. Yuri, growing more and more irritated by the conversation, finally snapped. She scolded them for treating the whole thing like an idol scandal, saying it wasn't entertainment. Her frustration bubbled up as memories of MC's middle school days rushed back, how serious and passionate he used to be about basketball. Back then, she had found him undeniably cool. As she stormed out toward the vending machine, she couldn't shake the thought, would she ever get to see that side of him again? Meanwhile, back on the court, MC was doing his best to stretch while ignoring the relentless whispers around him. Ridiculous rumors had taken hold, people saying he slept with Mitsuki, or that he was wagering girls over a game. Somehow, in the span of a day, he'd gone from a quiet student to the school's legendary playboy, its own personal Casanova. The rumors were evolving faster than Pokemon, and the absurdity made MC sigh. He figured most students were just hungry for drama to spice up their mundane lives. Still, despite every attempt to avoid the spotlight, he had been pulled into center stage. With a groan, MC wished he could just go home and pretend none of this was real, but the match was happening, whether he liked it or not. A 3-on-3 showdown was set, and he was expected to face off against 3 regulars from the basketball team. The rules were simple, 2 5-minute periods, alternating between offense and defense, for a total of 10 minutes. But before the match even started, Toshiro flashed a devilish grin and laid down the stakes. If MC's team lost, they would be forced to join the basketball club. To MC's horror, Mio immediately agreed, all smiles, as if it wasn't a big deal. Internally, MC was screaming, why was Mio making decisions for him like this, especially when Toshiro wasn't even that impressive on the court? Annoyed, MC decided to raise the stakes himself. If they won, then the basketball club had to disband. The moment those words left his mouth, Toshiro and his teammates collapsed theatrically on the gym floor, moaning that his condition was way too extreme. MC rolled his eyes. Why were third years acting like defeat was inevitable against first years? For all he knew, Mio and Sito could be complete amateurs. Not that it mattered, MC wasn't motivated to play in the first place and didn't care about the outcome. While he stood there sulking, Mio and Sito were getting hyped, full of excitement. Mio, oddly calm, even seemed resigned to losing. But just as MC accepted that inevitability, something changed. Mio's smile twisted into a confident, almost villainous grin. With a sudden flare of energy, he declared they were going to win, no question. Something about that shift sent a chill down MC's spine. It felt like Mio was about to snap Toshiro's ankles in front of a live audience. As the game kicked off, MC found himself holding the ball, preparing for his first shot. And in that brief moment, something unexpected stirred in him. He realized he never thought he'd play basketball again at school. Back then, it had been his escape, something he did not for glory or teammates, but for himself. He trained alone, always. But in the summer of his second year, that changed. Someone had stepped into his life, someone persistent, annoying, and unforgettable. Someone who saw him in a way no one else did. That person was Shiroi Kamashiro.